The following broadcast is brought to you by Public House Media.
Hello! Welcome to Choose to Rise, housed here on Public House Media. I'm so glad that you're here to give a listen. My podcasts are audio pulled from my live Facebook post every single morning, where I share other healthy living tips, motivational information, and connect with people from all over to live their life as a very best self. If you like these messages, I hope you tell a friend about Public House Media and my podcast so we can spread more positivity around the world. Thanks for listening. On with the show. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a fabulous day. It is a great Tuesday here in Iowa, and I just wanted to say good morning and happy Tuesday and all those amazing things. I have 5 things for you to quit today. I do not normally promote quitting at all, but these 5 things are things that you should quit right now so that you can keep going in lots of other areas of your life. So 5 things to quit right now. Number 1 is trying to please everyone. You can't please everyone. You can't please anyone other than yourself. That your God and yourself are the 2 things that two people you should try to please the most. And what happens when you try to please everyone is that you lose sight of what your goals are. You lose sight of what your aspirations are. And when you try to spread yourself so thin, it's impossible, for one, to try to make everybody happy. And number 2, you spread yourself so thin that you can't focus on what you really are trying to attempt, because somebody's going to want blue, somebody's going to want red, somebody's going to want green, someone's going to want yellow. And if you try to please everybody, you just end up with a brown poo. So don't try to please everyone. Try to please your God and try to please you. Those are the 2 people that you need to try to please. And those are the 2 people that matter the most. Then you start to trickle into your loved ones a little bit around you, trying to please your husband, trying to please, or your spouse, trying to please your children. But always focus on number 1 and number 2, Christ and yourself. Number 2, the second thing I want you to quit is fearing change. Change is inevitable. Change is always going to be in your life. Change is always going to be present in our world, and life is always changing. The world around us is always changing, and the more you can accept change, the more that you can not fear change, the better off you're going to be able to handle it. And one of the things that we talk about in education a lot of times is that if you are prepared, if you're preparing our children for, like, to say, preparing our kids for 21st century, we're already in the 21st century, but preparing our kids these days in education is a lot like preparing them for things that are not yet seen. Like 70% of the jobs in the world that our children are going to have aren't even created yet. Isn't that crazy? So fearing change is only going to it's only going to hold us back from reaching our potential. You have to learn to adapt. You have to learn to kind of roll with the punches. You kind of have to learn to accept change for what it is and move on with it. There are always things that you can do to stop fearing change. One of the things is to just evaluate where you are. Always know that change is a good thing for the most part. It's going to push you. It's going to challenge you. It's going to get you outside of that comfort zone. And another thing with change is that it's either going to work in your favor or it's going to work against you. And those of you that can see me on the live video, I apologize for those that can't on the podcast and whatnot. But I have my 2 hands here in front of me. And one hand is going to go up in like an upward slope, and that is when you're moving in a positive direction. You're going to use change to keep climbing that mountain. You're going to use change to keep pushing you forward. And those of you that if you fear change, if change has a negative connotation, that's going to pull you back down the mountain. That's my left hand is going downwards in a downward slope, because fear has a negative piece to it. We talked about the other day about how fear and love cannot live in the same heart. And so fear is going to release those cortisols. It's going to release some negative vibes with it. And it's going to drag you down the mountain. But if you have hope in change, if you use it in a positive way, if it makes you stronger, it's going to push you up that mountain. It's going to make you that much more amazing. Number 3, living in the past. Stop living in the past. Quit living in the past. It's not going to change. It can't take you any further. You can learn from the past, but don't live in the past. When you live in the past, if you live in the things behind you, you can't see the things that are in front of you. You won't be able to reach new goals. You won't be able to look out down the path and see where you're headed if you're living in the past. If you're always looking in reverse, you're always going to be focusing on what has happened, things that you can't change, things that you don't have control over. And you don't necessarily have complete control over the future, but you can learn from the things that have happened in your past and take different directions to get you forward in the future. So stop living the past, start moving towards the future. You can't change the past, but you can have an influence on your future and where you're going there. Number 4, putting yourself down. The story that is the loudest to yourself and the story that you're going to hear the most often is the one that you tell in your own head. And when you can start telling yourself good things, you can start making that story in your head the positive things, the words of love, the words of courage, the words of caring and compassion. Those words are going to carry you much farther than anything that you could ever put down in your life. So I have a quote here from one of my favorite books, and those of you that know what it is, we put so much energy into coming up with excuses of why we can't be, do, or have the things we want, and designing the perfect distractions to keep us from our dreams. Imagine how far we'd get if we just shut up and used all of the energy to go for it instead. Now that goes with like everything that I'm talking about here today, but especially with putting yourself down. If you can use a positive mindset, you're going to go so much farther and use those affirmations to go so much more forward thinking than you would ever imagine. So the loudest, like I said, the loudest voice that you listen to, the voice that you listen to the most often is the one that's between your two ears. So if you can turn that around and make that a positive, you're going to go much farther in this life. And the 5th and final thing that I want you to quit right now is I want you to quit overthinking. Mel Robbins has this amazing 5-second rule. If you can make the decision in 5 seconds, that's how you're going to roll with it. Hey, Lisa. So 5 seconds to any decision is all you need. If you're overthinking it, going more than 5 seconds, and I'm not talking about like major, huge life decisions, but those two should also go into a category of like, don't overthink it kinds of things. If you have faith in yourself that you can do things, if you're believing in yourself, if you're living for the future, if you're not fearing change and you're not trying to please everyone else, you're not going to have to overthink things because you're going to be believing in yourself, your own ability to accomplish things, and you're going to be able to go forward and do. So if you're listening to the one that really matters, if you're listening to Christ and yourself, you're going to be fine. If you're not fearing change, if you're ready to take the leap, if you're ready to move forward in faith and how your life is going, you're going to be amazing. And number 3, if you can stop living the past and look forward to the future and live in your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, you're going to be awesome. Number 4, putting yourself down. If you are living in a positive mindset, if you are believing in yourself, if you are going forward in faith, you're going to be amazing. And 5, if you're not overthinking it, if you're using the Mel Robbins 5-second rule, if you've not read that book, I totally encourage you to do so. It's on my reading list. If you listen to our podcast at least, but if you're not overthinking it, then you are going to go so much farther in life as well. You'll get there faster because you won't spend so much time worrying about change and living in the past and worrying about what's going to happen, right? You can just get there and go for it. And if you put your energy into if you stop putting your energy into coming up with excuses on why it can't be so, living in the past or overthinking things, and you do have the things you want and design the perfect distractions to keep us from our dreams, imagine how far we'd get if we just stopped talking in our head and used all the energy to go for it, to push play, to push past your goals, to push past your dreams, to keep going and stop trying to please everyone else. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you've had a fabulous day. I hope you like, share, and comment on this. What is something that you are pushing past today? What is something you are doing to, what's something you're quitting today, right? What is something that one of these 5 things, which one of them, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which one of them are you quitting today? Which one are you going to move forward in your faith and your future on? And I hope you like, share, comment, follow Public House Media and this page, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Later.